Hi, my name is Madi and I'm a Colorado knitter. This is a YouTube channel all about knitting, yarn, and making. I'm excited to share what I've been doing the past couple weeks, and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to any new viewers, and thanks for keep coming back and for all your great comments to any of the viewers who have been here for a while. You can also find me on Instagram at Colorado Knitter and on Ravelry at Colorado 5 Knitter. And I need to do better about Ravelry and really add to those notes because I really do use it as a tool for myself when I'm knitting on some patterns that I am a little confused on, and we'll touch on that in a bit. What I'm wearing Tecumseh by Caitlyn Hunter. It's an oldie but a goodie. And this is it right here. And I think this is probably one of the first colorwork sweaters I've knit. I like it for a day. I have all hair because I dried my hair wearing it, but I like it when I'm not wearing a coat. It's very comfy, even though it's a yoke. It's yoke down, so top down, but since it's kind of swancho-y where the sleeve divides are low, it doesn't seem to pull or bug me, but I don't want to wear a vest or a jacket over it because of the sleeves. But I used Farmer's Daughter fibers, DK, Juicy DK, I believe, and like I said, it was one of my first colorwork sweaters. And I used a superwash, but the Farmer's Daughter did a lovely job. And Caitlyn Hunter's patterns are always so fun to knit and so entertaining to knit. I really like how the mustard and maroon go together, and I wouldn't have thought that I would, but it's a good one. It's cozy and it's just nice to wear, and you feel like you're kind of put together, but kind of in a sweatshirt at the same time. Okay, let's see. I have a few things to share about the last few weeks. I was able to go to a knitting morning out with a knitting group at IKEA in Denver. I was a little nervous because I didn't know anybody there. I had connected with Kelly on Instagram, and she watches this channel sometimes. Hi, Kelly. And she's so welcoming and she was so kind. She had let me know about this knitting group a few months back, but with the kids' soccer games on Saturdays, I wasn't able to go until this 2 Saturdays ago. And it was great. It was really fun to be among people who love knitting and love making and love crocheting. Kelly had made some fringe bags in the past for the group, and I got to see those bags. Fringe bags no longer is in business, but they have the pattern released, and I think these were the size for the town bag, and it was through Grainline Studios. They have the pattern which you can get printed or digitally. I'll link it below, but it definitely got my sewing bug ignited, and I will share a little bit about that in a bit. Let's see. Oh, I loved the fringe bag she created. She used a paracord for the drawstring, which I thought was a great idea. She said they're really reasonable, fun colors, and since it's kind of coated, it slides real nicely and holds up very nicely. She had her husband kind of burn the end so it doesn't fray, but it looked really good. I thought that was a really good idea. I will keep looking down at my notes because my brain has been all over the place. Excited to make things, but want to make all the things, but I have to move my body and I keep wanting to just make things. So I'm going to keep looking down at my notes in the Awesome Maker's Notebook by Making Treasures. And I will keep glancing down to keep myself on track. Oh, okay. So Kelly also shared, so going back a little bit, I do have quite the fabric stash. that others have shared with me and I've collected over the time, over the years, but I'm never gonna get to use it all, and I need to make sure that I share the stash and have it be used for something great. And so Kelly shared that the Navajo Quilt Project on FrenchGeneral.com. I will make sure I link it below so you guys can check it out. But the Navajo Quilt Project takes donations. They take donations of quilting tools, fabrics, batting. So I was able to send 2 huge boxes that way. And it was so nice because I don't have a problem sharing my stash. I kind of just always want a place to know that it's going to a great use. And so just knowing that I could give it to them and it was going to be used for a great thing, I was very happy to send it that way. Okay, I don't have very many finished projects, and I did not touch my Pick-a-Whip, which was the Claret cardigan. I'm just too excited to start all the things, and I'm very excited with the things I'm working on. But I did finally finish my stripy helical stripe socks that I was nearly done with last time. So here they are, and I absolutely will do this again with self-striping yarn. I will continue to helical stripe some of the leftovers I have because it was very fun, very fast, very entertaining. This is the Cozy Knitters Advent Skeins. I did run out of the mini for once I got halfway through the second heel and toe. So you can kind of see, I mean, it's not noticeable, but this one has some little sprinkles in it, some speckles of pink, but it's close enough for me. I love them very much. So I will continue to do that. I wanted to show you, I have probably 2 stripes of each skein left. So a pink or kind of that rose and purple. So I probably had 2 more stripes left. So not much. This will go in that crazy garter stitch camp blanket that will never ever get done probably. So let's see, make sure, just a quick reminder, I use 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circular needle, and I cast on 64 stitches with a German twisted cast on. This yarn is nice. It has somewhat of a halo, but I believe it's 80-20 or 75-25 merino nylon. And then for the stripes, I did knit 1 stripe without doing the ribbing so that it wouldn't have a bump. Let's see, where would it have? I think it would have it on the purl. And then again, when I got to the white, I would knit 1 row of the white, just knitting, stockinette, and then resume with the ribbing. I just do vanilla till I decide not to, and I do Soxploration shadow wrap heel, and I use the same Soxploration pattern by Earth Tones Girl for the toe, and it seems to work well. I prefer heel flap and gusset, and heel flap, turn, and gusset. I always reverse the order, but I prefer the Soxploration shadow wrap heel for any self-striping yarn because it doesn't interrupt that yarn, those stripes. Okay, I have a zillion whips and I'm super excited about all of them. I started a Musselburgh by Musselburgh. I don't know how you say it, but I will learn someday, by a Sol de Tigre. And yes, I did jump up on the bandwagon with the Spincycle's knit along. And I believe it's called Spinborough on Instagram. And I think on their profile, on Spincycle's profile on Instagram, they have a link to a Google document that you fill out if you want to join in for a chance to win some of the prizes. So I haven't done that yet, but I'm enjoying knitting the muscle burrow. And this is it by Isolde Teague. And it's a very cool pattern. I've had it in my queue forever, and I'm sure I have the pattern bought forever, but I have never knit it. And so I started it in between the last podcast, I think. But I use the disappearing loop cast on. So you knit it from the very tip top, this little belly button, and then I expanded until I reached where I could measure an inch of stitches, and I was getting 6 stitches per inch using a US 3 needle. A little fiddly, there's no question. The very beginning I used double pointed needles, and I actually went to what I have for sleeves, which is the ChowGoo shorties, and I used it for a little while just to get this top part, so I didn't have too many I guess I don't know if they're called jogs, but sometimes when I'm doing magic loop or double pointed needles, I have a little bit of an elongated stitch as I transition between the needles, and so I used the really small circumference US 3 until I got to a bigger space for the 16-inch US 3 needle. I'm using Helico's mohair lace, 70% mohair and 30% silk, and the color is Welcome Home, and it was Helico's Cozy Colorado collection. And here's the label. Here's the name. And I'm combining it with Spincycle yarn. And it's the Superwash Sport Weight in Grumpy Birds. I don't know if this was upside down the whole time, but it's dyed in the wool. Okay, so those are my yarns I'm using, and they look like this. This one's getting to be small. I do have another one. But next to my face, I've never really been sure about this version of Grumpy Birds, but I thought together with the mohair, it was pretty. And so here's what I have. So I have a plan on knitting it to be, you know, the tube, the muscle burrow goes into a tube and then you close the other end. But I don't think I want a huge folded edge. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. I have a Smart Wool beanie that I like the fit of, so I'm gonna mimic the length of that. But it looked tiny. I felt like it looked really small on the top when I was starting. And so I did put it on a barber cord and try it on, and it fit. So I'm glad I did that because I wouldn't want it bigger than that. But it's coming along. I feel like, let's see, how many inches do I have? I already have 10 inches, so yeah, it's gone pretty quickly. I just have it in the car, or I have it for soccer games. It's kind of the soccer games, I tend to miss the mohair a lot, or catch the mohair and miss the Spincycle. But for waiting in the car, it's been a perfect project. And it's in my beautiful sister's mountain bag, which gets a ton of use. I really have been liking that bag. It doesn't even look like it's been used. It's holding up great. Okay, so that's whip number 1. Oh, for the cast on, I used Disappearing Loop cast on, and I found a YouTube video from Brooklyn Tweed, and it was excellent and very clear, short, to the point, clear. I did cast on twice, but it was straightforward and not too difficult. Okay, moving to whip number 2. I have the Selbu Coat by Skein Deer Knits, and I haven't worked on it in about a week. We had soccer games in New Mexico, so we drove there this past weekend, and then I had a sick kiddo last week, so things were a little different than normal for me. But I did get far on this Selbu Coat. Probably right after the last podcast, I kind of really focused on it. So as I mentioned, I had some confusion with this pattern on Ravelry. So I looked up other folks' projects on Ravelry, and they really helped. They had a lot of pictures, they had some words of wisdom, and I felt like I need to return the favor and write better notes. I don't even think about writing notes during the project. I tend to finish the project and then write about it, which is like one sentence, not helpful for anybody who might be looking at making the project. So I really appreciate those who have great thorough notes, and I need to create that habit for myself. But here it is. So what I've done is I seamed up the shoulders. So you can see these are joined at the top. And for the joins here, I used Patty Lyon's YouTube channel for guidance on how to seam that. And it was very easy, very quick, pretty amazing. And I think it looks pretty good. And this has not been blocked, steamed, or anything. So I think that's gonna be great. What I also did was get beyond the armholes. So for some reason I was stumped with the armholes, feeling like I was creating a raglan, which that is not at all what I'm doing. I'm creating a seam that I'm gonna cut here for a drop shoulder. And so these are bound off. These steeked stitches are bound off here at the bottom. And this is where it helped me on Ravelry to visualize this. And so I would cut from here down. And then what I have here is kind of a little bit of a gape because it's going to be wider in the back than the front. And then this is the center seam. So it's a cardigan. So this I'll cut and then add some ribbing to that. So it's beautiful. I'm still on the charts, and I had to fudge the charts a little bit because I wanted things to be centered. And so it has the full repeat here so that it's not cutting things off. And then for some reason it didn't work with my brain at all to have Skandir says mirror the one chart she provides for the right side. So you have a left side chart and then you mirror the right side chart. For some reason, I never put it together. Just read it from left to right instead of right to left. And so I have my ocean loop stitch marker here in red to say, hang on, you're reading this next section in reverse. And so it has helped me to slow down and make sure I don't mess that up. But it's fairly quick because it's on a 9-inch US 9 needle. So now I just have the body to do, and then it'll be time to start snipping, which is exciting. I actually don't think I'm gonna reinforce anything. I feel like Gudrun Johnson was all about just cut it if it's woolly wool. So I think I will. And I might do a little bit of felting to kind of stick it together, but I don't think I'm going to reinforce it. So wish me luck. Okay. Yeah, that's it for the Selbu Coat. I have a new cast on because that's how I am. And I was super excited to get selected to knit on Hohi's test vest. I believe right now she calls it the Emery vest, and she has posted it on Instagram, and she has a pullover and a vest, and I am doing the vest. And so I did swatch, and I'll pull that off the wall. I'm gonna put this so I don't poke myself. So I swatched a couple times. This is the first time, and it's not the greatest spot in the chart to have swatched, but this is a swatch with just, let me pull the yarn labels. So that's a swatch using the Gross Lamb Wool by Biches and Bouches in dark red, and it says Aran weight. And so this is close to gauge, a little small. And I didn't love it. I don't know if you can tell, but you can kind of see through the seed stitch here. And the color was a little blah. And I added a mohair that I had in stash, which is, and Joji's sample is made out of Brooklyn tweed shelter and a mohair. So I found in my stash a Knitting for Olive silk mohair in the color Claret. So adding those two yarns. So this one's much deeper and this one's kind of orange, I think. I really like the swatch that I got. It kind of fills in some of that space in the seed stitch. And sometimes when we cable, we can get a little bit of a hole looking thing, which is normal as it crosses, but it kind of fills in that space as well. So this is the difference in the colors. Hopefully it shows up on the screen for you. But I'm really happy with that. And so I took this to New Mexico with us because we drove over the past weekend, and then there's a lot of hotel time waiting between soccer games. And so I was able to work on this, and I have the back shoulders. And then this is the front. And I'm almost to the point where I join under the arms. But Joji is genius. I mean, check out this shoulder join. How she just continues it on. I'm knitting the size 2. And I'm actually on, I think, a 10, a US 10 needle, which I must be getting tighter and tighter as I get older and older, tighter in my knitting. But I can't get over how genius she is. And so the testers are also brilliant. She has an email thread, but look at how beautiful these cables are. And they're so attentive to the details and the patterns, and they are amazing to decipher things and let Joji know. And Joji has adjusted things immediately. It's been an amazing experience. And some of the testers testing the larger sizes have commented on how brilliant the pattern is and how it's going to be. I believe their comments were stating that instead of more empty space to fill in, she has another set of diamonds and cables, which is so smart. It makes a beautiful, beautiful garment. So I'm really happy about this. A couple new things for me. It's not necessarily recommended in the pattern, but I have never knit without a cable needle. And so these are the first cables I've been knitting without using a cable needle. And it's going really well. Since it's such a large needle, I felt like it was kind of fussy if I had the cable needle, and I knew I was going to take it in the car. So that was a nice way to cable. I also feel like it's making my stitches and cabling more even because I don't have it pulling or stretching away from my garment by having an extra needle. The other thing I had never ever done is drop down to fix an error in my cables. And I did it, and it's so good because I would have been starting this thing over 400 times. I will link what I used below. Roxanne Richardson's YouTube channel. It's very educational, and so she has a lot of tutorials on how to do things. So she had a tutorial on how to fix cables, and so I did it, and I'm so glad, because now I feel like that was a huge stumbling block. Any other time I did cables, I would rip back all the way back because I just didn't understand how to do it. And so I recommend, and I'll link that video below, Roxanne Richardson. Very good videos. So super happy with this test knit, and it'll come out in March, I believe. And so I feel like I'm in a good place for it, getting to the body next. And I picture it with stripe sleeves, with denim. I love it. I'm super excited. All right. Whip number 4 is also a new cast on. I've had this in my stash for a while, and as you can see, I've been using my stash, but my stash is quite amazing. So I cast on and swatched. I did swatch. I've been better about swatching because I want it to fit. Things have not fit in the past, or I've been disappointed with a yoke or whatever, and it's my fault, not the designer's. And so we gotta take our time and make sure that it's the right fit with the right fabric, with the right yarn, and the good combinations. So this is my swatch. The bottom is a smaller needle, I think. A 6 needle is my guess, and this top part is the 7. I'm using the 7 for the garment. So this is my swatch. I wish you could feel it. It's so soft. I'm using Hedgehog what's it called? Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy. It was the very first version of Tweedy that came out, which is a Falkland Merino. It's probably really iridescent for you. 37% recycled wool and 12% Hedgehog waste yarn. And this is the colors I have. So it's wound up. But this is the Hedgehog Tweedy, and I just felt like it looked like little flowers already in the yarn. And so it kind of was thinking, that should work. And I didn't, it alone, it's not the best for me. So I kept waiting and waiting to use it. It's so soft. I've used the Tweedy Noir before for a whole sweater. But this color I didn't know alone. And so I liked the combo because the Spincycle I have, which is Dirty Little Secret. Again, it's the sports weight. I don't know if you could see Dirty Little Secret, but it has a lot of the colors that I have in the specs. So this is what I have. It's not very far, but I got through the ribbing, which is always a lot and not as fun. But it's a long piece because it's all wrapping around you as a cardigan. So here's the Pressed Flowers cardigan. And I'll link the pattern below, but I think it's quite popular because she has a cowl, a hat, a wrap, a shawl, and a pullover. So it's very nice and relaxing. The fabric it makes is very lovely. It's squishy and light. I feel like the colors do go well with the flex in the yarn. I will not manage the Spincycle. I'll just let it do its thing. They're long rows, but as you can see, this is actually, it's garter really. So there's a lot of knit rows in there. But I think it really adds to it. And I think I like the color a little bit more with that. Plus it's a V-neck, so I would be wearing something underneath. I really, really like it. Here's the Spincycle wound up that I'm using. So there's gonna be some blues in there that come out. So that's my relaxing knit, which is ridiculous that I have so many cast-ons. But it's really fun, and why not, right? So I'll put this back up on the wall in a bit. Moose is wiggling. Moose, sit, buddy. Good boy. He was barking before I started the video because I think he heard something rustling in the yard. All right, so I have a little bit of sewing to show you next. I have, as I said, I cleaned out my fabric stash in my closet, and so it always makes me kind of itch to sew again. I'm a messy sewer, so then I feel like it makes me more physically tired, which is so weird. But I think knitting is, there's less pieces and less parts and less things you get out and less pieces of fabric, thread that go on the floor. So I think that I get a little more tired sewing, but it's very fun to finish the projects in one day. But I tried a pattern by Noodlehead Patterns, and I'll look that up for you. I will link it below as well. Noodlehead Patterns. I've always followed her designs because she really holds your hand through a pattern, and she even offers video support. So she has a YouTube channel where she helps with instructions. And I did the yarrow pouch. Our service is not doing awesome today, so I will find it, and if I find it before too long, I will share it with you. But I will absolutely link it below. Yep, here it is. So this is the yarrow pouch by Noodlehead Patterns, and I will link it below. And she, let's see. I made the pouch versus the wristlet, and I will absolutely make more. I made one that was too thick. I thought it would be cool in like a thick canvas or leather, and it was too hard to turn because it's not very big. But this one is more of a canvas material that it has a little bit of interfacing, and then the zipper is curved, so you kind of clip around the curves, but she helps you with through all that. This is definitely big. So she has a 1/2-inch D-ring that she recommends, but I found this in the junk drawer, so I just tried it. And I have a lot of scraps of pieces of leather, so that's what that is, but that's huge. It will normally be smaller. And then when you open it up, it opens really big, which is so cool. It does. I have a tiny stitch marker here to see if it makes its way out. Yeah, you can kind of see. So see, that is open, so keep that in mind. That is not closed. With the design, you could ladder stitch that closed, but with this sort of design and it opening wide, that usually stays open in her design. But inside, it has 2 little pockets, so it's more like a little wallet, but I thought it was cute with the pockets because I could put tape measure in the bigger one, and it stays pretty good, and then scissors in the other one. So I just have to figure out, will I put stitch markers in there? Will it just have a barber cord? Will it have a ring of stitch markers? Something like that. So this one's certainly not perfect, but I liked it for the first round of making them, and I will make more as gifts. I want to try to pull out the lining because she recommends using a ladder stitch to seam the bottom close, which is where you would flip it right side out, and I thought it looked pretty good. I usually am kind of lazy sewer, and I'll just whip the bottom through the sewing machine, but the ladder stitch does create a really nice flat finish. I don't know if any of this shows up really well for you, but hopefully you can see that. But I'm very happy with it. I will make more using kind of this canvas, a little bit thicker material, just with a light interfacing. When I added the thicker interfacing, it was too hard to turn. So I'm excited to make more of these. And I also wanted to make the Fringe pattern into a bag, but I didn't get to that yet. So probably the next video. This is the one that it's not the same pattern. This is just kind of reminding myself how to make a pouch again, because it's been so long, and I don't like this one. But I did remember how to put the zipper in where the lining and the zipper meet up correctly. But this, I don't know if you can see, this is kind of an interfacing that's a sew interfacing that is really nice for tote bags, but for the pouch, it's too thick. So it's too big, I think. So it has a nice zipper. It's just, you know, measuring it out. It's purely a square or whatever rectangle shape this is with some boxed bottoms. And they're kind of unseaming already because it really does pull with this fabric. But it's certainly nice that it's stable. And it's definitely too small for a yarn project. But I think I would rather, for a pouch, use the interfacing such as this one, which was Pellon 101 interfacing, and it's iron-on interfacing, or just a thin quilt batting. So that was a good experiment, quick one day. I did that yesterday, and I think I'm going to try to get more of these done, but a little crisper on the turns and stuff. Again, I don't think you could just have loose stitch markers in there because of that little spot. All right. Also cleaning out my closet, I found some of my really favorite books. And this is one of them. And I think I might do more of these blocks this year. So it says Tula Pink's City Sampler, 100 Modern Quilt Blocks. And I thought I'd show you some of the blocks that I had made in the past, years ago, I think. So there's number 1. And this one on this side is mine. And it's so neat that it's 1 page per pattern. And my hair is always everywhere. And then here's number 2. For some reason, I thought I would do 100 in a row. Big plans. Doesn't usually happen, though. Hopefully you can see this okay. I'll show you a few more. I don't want to bore you too much. Number 10. I skipped a few in between. I'll show you one more. So it looks like I have about 5 or so of them. And this one's the number 12. So I think I'll keep collecting them and put them in together. And she actually has it at the end where she combines them all, as you can see here, to make a quilt. So that's really fun. It's small, just not a huge obligation, just a little fun patchwork activity for the day. Then this one's a little bit more new. And this is called Contemporary Patchwork. And she has beautiful Instagram and patterns as well. But this is what I really want. Oh, it's right here. I want to make that so badly. And that's similar to the fringe bag idea. But I also really love this. Look at how cool that fabric is. And that is, what I love a lot about this book is I don't have this tool for weaving the fabric that's ripped. So it's torn to make that frayed edge. And she just tells you right here, if you don't have a wefty tool, you can try weaving with just your fingertips. Alternatively, cut a cereal box into 2.5 or 1 inch by 4 inch and tape the fabric to it. Awesome. I can do that. So very cool book. I love all these scrappies. That's so beautiful. So highly recommend those. And then finally, we finished a book on our way to New Mexico. Let's see, we finished the book. It is called Remarkably Bright Creatures. And it was entertaining. It was a sweet story. It definitely was longer than I think we thought it would be, in the sense that we kind of had a feeling of what was going to happen, but it was a sweet story and I did enjoy it. It was entertaining as well. It kind of kept you into it as you drove along. The other thing I wanted to share was an exercise app that I use. And I I turned 47 this week. And so rumor is that we need to keep building muscle, and it's hard to build muscle at this age. And I enjoy a app that I've been using over a year now. It's mostly dumbbells, but it gives you a workout every day, which I do not do. But I do like having an option to open the app and just do the workout that's there. I don't have to think about it, and that's just what I do. And so I believe she was a D1 basketball player, and she created this app, which I really like. And this is what it looks like. It's called The Ladder. And I think the idea is pushing weights on one day versus pulling weights the next day. And then she definitely has days of rest and days of stretching and mindfulness. And so I have enjoyed it for over a year. I'm always sore the next day. And if you have some space and some dumbbells, that's what she usually asks for you to use. Oh, what I really like, Moose is making his way inside the room now. What are you doing, Moose Moose? Are you gonna come say hi? But what I like the most about it is, so she kind of you get the instructions, and it's kind of listed, and it has timer, but you get to link to your own Spotify account so that you can listen to your own kind of music. And so she gives you the instructions right at the beginning. You do the repeats with your music, and she's quiet during that time. So it's I think it's nice to be able to hear your own sort of audio. Okay, anything else I can tell you guys? Next weekend we get to visit Gabe. I'm pretty excited, and I'm gonna try this. I've never done this. I'm gonna take one project. I'm gonna cast on a pair of socks, have it in my purse, and that's all I'm gonna knit on the whole weekend and see what happens. I'll see how far I can actually get. I've always taken more than one project on a trip. I always take way more than I'm gonna knit on, but I thought it would be worth a try, and it's always nice to pack super light for a weekend, and I will see if I get a sock done. I don't know, maybe. And then finally, the last thing I'll share is pocket yarn. This week's pocket yarn. This is, I think, a little bit of Sonder Yarn Co. and a DK that I had swatched for the Crea Bea's net vest that she has being published soon. And this is a little bit of still of my blue pullover, blue and that light blue striped from the Caramelli sweater. And oh, this is the black solid leaf from Selbu, the Selbu cardigan. And a viewer said, get a really pretty jar. And so I got a jar for now. And I'll put them in there with this. So my silly collection. But that's all I got for you guys. I hope you have a great end to the month. And I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.